Smokey and the Bandit.
2.
Evil Dead.
2.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
2.
My Girl.
2.
The Net.
2.
Species.
2.
Halloween.
2.
Rush Hour.
2.
Police Academy.
2.
Crocodile Dundee.
2.
Mannequin.
2.
Gremlins.
2.
The Howling.
Thus.
Death Wish.
2.
Phantasm.
2.
Back to the Future.
2.
2.
2.
Some of them are number 2 for a reason. Dinky!
Sequels! People, naturally, are skeptical of sequels. It's usually a crass attempt to cash in on what was lightning in a bottle.
Sometimes sequels can be decent if slightly diminished variations on their predecessor.
Lethal Weapon 2 wasn't that much worse than Lethal Weapon. Gold Diggers of 1937 wasn't that much worse than Gold Diggers of 1933. But once you get to Gold Diggers of 1949 or Lethal Weapon 4, you're looking at trouble.
Plus, a sequel usually signifies that a movie is bound for the undead eternity of franchisedom.
True, but the undead walking the earth is not always a bad thing.
We here at Film Geek Primer are going to do is examine the extremes. What either makes a really good sequel,
Aliens.
Godfather 2.
Hot Shots Part 2.
or in the case of this episode, we're going to be looking at the really bad sequels. We were going to originally list the top 5 worst sequels of all time, but of course, being film geeks, we ended up getting into a fight over it.
When we say sequel, we're talking about number 2. So the recent Star Wars movies are all spared.
I wish Lucas had spared us.
Godfather 3, Superman 4, Star Trek 5, they're out.
Batman and Robin, we'll get to you and your nipples later.
We decided to break down bad sequels into 3 categories.
The unnecessary,
The unpleasant.
And the unholy. That was fun. Unholy.
we're talking about a gap here, not a specific level of quality.
Let's use a visual aid. Movie A is this good, and movie B is about this good. Now the sequel to movie A, Nerds in Paradise, is about this good, and the sequel to movie B, Electric Boogaloo, is about this good. Now movie A is still better than movie B, but what we're looking at is the gap in quality between the first and second film.
That was way too complicated.
The unnecessary, there was no real need for these movies, but they're not terrible. 2010, Jurassic Park 2, Rocky 2.
See, Rocky 2 wasn't necessarily a bad movie.
You have to jump deeper down the sly hole to get to the bad stuff. Sure, Rocky 2 went against the original. The entire theme of the first one was going the distance, not necessarily winning in the end.
A brilliant original diluted by the franchise.
I'd also throw in the Saw movies and probably almost any horror franchise.
But there were so many unanswered questions from the original Saw.
And 2010 answered questions that should have been left unanswered.
For the unpleasant list, I'm calling out Rush Hour 2, Porky's 2,
Did they cut out the nudity?
Gremlins 2, Ocean's 12, and The Fly 2.
I'll never forgive them for what they did to that dog.
Unpleasant sequels are not only unnecessary, but they do a major disservice to their predecessors. Not only are they rehashes, but they try to make them better with bigger explosions, more gore, new exciting stars, bigger. Basically, small penis syndrome.
You'd know all about that.
And now, the unholy. Speed 2.
Watch out! That boat is going really slow.
Ghostbusters 2.
Ghostbusters movies shouldn't have sucked until at least part 5. By part 5, anything's gonna suck.
Then, of course, there's Blair Witch 2. Love or hate the first one, you have to admit that the second one was utter and complete dog food. That is, of course, if you saw it. And the number 1 unholy sequel of unholy sequels.
Highlander 2, The Quickening. This sequel went so far as to rewrite the mythology from the original. Now they come from planet Zeist.
Zeist, America's #1 anti-anxiety medication.
May cause explosive diarrhea.
Cackling aliens on hover scooters, a sword from nowhere, the ozone shield, and the worst part about it is that it was created by all of the same makers as the original. They massacred their own child. Is there any other sequel out there as criminal as Highlander 2, The Quickening?
Quick recap.
The unnecessary. Most movies, if they do reasonably well at the box office or on home video, are going to get a sequel. For For the most part, these sequels serve no purpose artistically or narratively, and the best they can hope for is to give us a little more of something we liked. Austin Powers 2 gave us a little more Austin Powers. Rocky 2 gave us a little more Rocky. And Shrek 2 gave us a little more Austin Powers.
Unpleasant. The drop-off in quality in these films is severe. The concepts that made the original so good are often diluted, watered down, and bastardized. Films that fall into this category include Back to the Future 2, Karate Kid 2, and Halloween 2.
The unholy. These steaming logs of excrement have left skid marks in the jockey shorts of cinema.
Now that's a metaphor.
These movies destroy all of the entertainment value of its predecessor and sometimes go as far as rewriting the mythology, remove or add characters on a whim, and generally make you feel like you've been a prisoner at Abu Ghraib. Do not see Meatballs 2, Exorcist II the Heretic, or the succubus of sequels, Highlander 2.
Now available for sale through FilmGeekPrimer.com. I'm still too angry! Still too angry! Do you want me to not flub the line this time? Dr. John?
P.U. You have to dump the Gremlins to the...
There was no Neil... Can you cut all that together? Is there anything usable there?